So I realized I forgot to film an intro for this video. I'm building a fort. I decided to use this old water heater because it was the perfect size. I don't know what this is. I've been looking over my analytics recently and I discovered that my videos get a much stronger push if you guys are willing to hit that like button. And definitely a big thank you to those of you who've already done that. It definitely helps push the channel out even farther every time you guys comment or give a thumbs up to the channel. So if you could do that, that would mean the world to me. There we go. Okay, so I got all this stuff off, and yes, this pipe does go all the way through. I'm still not sure what the pipe does. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably cut it down the middle, and then cut the pipe out the center, and then just pull it apart into two parts. Alright, check this out. I finally got it off. Stupid thing. Yeah, there's a pipe right in the center of it. I mangled the crap out of that. I had to cut away most of it with a zip disc. I cut off on my grinder. And once it got small, I could actually get inside. I could get inside it just a little bit, and then I broke the rest out with a old flat tip screwdriver. What do you think? Yeah. Hey, there you are. All right, so Liz, you know what this is? This is called a tool cart. We're gonna put this together. When we're done building the forge, the tool cart, or I'm sorry, the forge is going to be sitting right on top of this. I decided to put it up on casters, and I figured this would be the easiest way to have a forge that can move around the shop. If you want to read the instructions, just start reading them. What's the first step? Lock washer?
Yeah.
Step 1, lock washer.
Yeah. So it says 13 lock washer, 10 mm, 16.
I think these are all the things we're supposed to have. Those are all the parts.
I have a very, very funny story for you guys. Once there was Daddy, and then he said, I must burn Ellie's face off. So he burned Ellie's face off. So he did. And then he said, I must burn Lucy's face off. So he did. And then he's like, I must burn everybody's face off. So he grabbed his blowtorch and blowtorch everyone's face off. And then he's like, I must burn my face off. And then he blowtorched his face off. The end.
It's a horrible story. That is the worst story I've ever heard. Where do you come up with these stories? I'm gonna have to take you to counseling for that story.
What does that even mean?
Talking doctor.
Never.
You're a very disturbed individual.
Well, did you like that story? Hope you did, because he blowtorched your face.
Put the hand around that. Not a wagon. there's the forge. This is gonna be the front door. And I think that'll be okay. Okay, after about 2 hours of grinding, I think I got it down far enough to where the paint's gonna stick on it just fine. I'm not trying to get it perfect, but I'm just trying to get all of the nonsense off it so I can paint over the top of it. The bottom probably took the longest just because there's so many facets in here. I had to hammer it back into shape. But I think I'm ready to start working on the door. Is that the forge? This is Daddy's new forge. Okay, so here's the idea. I've already cut these at about 15 degrees. I just have to hold it generally to the shape. And then I'm going to cut it slow as we can. Hey, stop pushing on the forge. Are you helping me with the forge?
Cheese!
Cheese! It's not a picture, silly. It's a video.
Cheese!
Alright, so for those of you who are interested, I brought the toddler inside. She's fine. I am keeping all of the grinder dust in this room now, so she's not going to be in here. She's going to be out in the wood shop, which I spent some time and cleaned up and got all the dust and everything off of there, so don't worry about it. I'm going to be grinding on this, and I'm going to be trying to match that arc. That looks pretty good. There we go. Okay. Took me a bit, but I got the pipes in there.
Boggles, but also green. Like you can see through, but also it's
That's cool. Here. Does it look like a face? It looks like a forge. That's awesome. It's going to be at least. so I got this high heat JB Weld. And so it doesn't look like it needs to be mixed or anything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of this, and we're gonna smush it into that corner. Can you do that? No, you can't eat it.
It feels like ice cream. It's cold.
It is cold like ice cream, but it won't taste like ice cream. And it'll harden inside your stomach, and then you'll have a blockage. Probably don't want that. Looks pretty good. Trampoline break!
Yay, but first I know what news.
What?
Real news. JB Weld stands for John Boober Weld.
Fake news!
No!
Fake news!
Real news.
Do a proper one.
Cartwheel.
Okay.
Did I say cartwheel?
I don't know what you said, but that was a good one. Don't forget your hands. Hands up. There you go. You better not fall over at the end during the competition.
Can I do a dodge roll again?
Do a dodge roll. Okay, so now I'm going to be using what's known as KO wool. It's a ceramic fiber blanket that's going to coat the inside of the forge and it's going to hold in all of my heat. Now, I cannot stress enough that this stuff is dangerous to work with. It basically what it does is when you're working with it, it releases a dust that when you breathe it in, it sticks into your lungs. It gives you basically it gives you fibrosis. Once it gets into your lungs, it irritates your lungs and creates scar tissue inside your lungs. And once that happens, there's no cure for it. You're basically just going to have a harder time breathing for the rest of your life. So, I'm going to be wearing a mask, I'm going to be wearing goggles, which I've misplaced, they're around here somewhere. And please, if you ever use KO wool, do not breathe in the fibers. You are screwing yourself up for life if you do that. Okay, so that was a mess of work. If you're gonna end up doing this, buy the right amount of KO wool. There's a little section back there where I didn't quite get enough layers. The plan was to do a 1-inch layer, I'll show you here, a 1-inch layer on the outside and a 2-inch layer on the inside. That was gonna give you 3 inches total. That way you get a ton of efficiency out of it. That was the plan. But I only have 2 inches on the back. I had to do 2 layers of the 1-inch on the back because I ran out. I misjudged how much I bought when I bought the 2-inch because the 2-inch is a lot more expensive. So, which also meant because I was doing that, I didn't have enough to cut a second circle for the front, so that's what that looks like. Probably should have pieced together the back instead of the front because this is a mess, but yeah. So I ended up spraying it with this, what's this called? It's a KO wool hardener, and basically what this does is make sure that if you ever do have any flame touching the KO wool itself, that you're not going to end up with the fibers blowing out while the forge is running. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm also going to be covering it with the miso. Okay, so I went and printed off some instructions for how to cast and cure the miso. I'm using a castable refractory called miso, which is supposed to be better than the Satanite that a lot of other people use, and it's leagues above the stuff that you can get at the home centers. But I wanted to tell you about this website that I found called Hard Luck Forge and Supply. It is the best website on the internet if you're just looking for basic information on how to build a forge. And not only that, it has instructions for every single aspect of building your own forge. Many different types of forges and kilns as well. So the best part about the website is there's a contact us section on there that they usually get back to you within about 15 minutes in my experience. Every time I've asked them a question, they get back to me in like 15 minutes. But you can ask them all kinds of questions. It doesn't matter if you're trying to build a furnace or a kiln or a forge or whatever it is you're trying to build. Just tell them what you're trying to do and what issues you're running into, and they will give you instructions on how to solve the problem, whether you bought the wrong materials or whatever the case is. And every time I've asked them a question so far, they get back to me within about 15 minutes. That is not something you can get from most companies these days, but they're kind of a smaller company. But they'll give you all kinds of information on how to build anything that you're looking to build. And they also have a ton of products on their site as well, which it's not overly complicated. They only sell the products that you need to build these items. They're specifically designed to build the forges and the kilns and things like that. Even if you're just thinking about building a forge, or you think you might be interested in doing one just to get some basic information, go check out their instructions. They are very well thought out, very well put together. And for this one, I'm going to be doing the castable refractory next, and because of how specific that information is and how you have to do it to make sure it turns out properly, I just went ahead and printed off the instructions on here. So I'm going to be using these. This is one thing that I noticed on here that I did not realize was going to be such an issue before I went onto the site and got the instructions, is the dry out schedule. He talks about how you have to bring the forge up to specific temperatures to dry out the refractory, that way it doesn't end up cracking or going bad too early. And the better you go through this process, the longer it's supposed to last. So definitely, if you're interested in building a forge, or you think you might be interested in building a forge in the future, or you're just curious about the process, go on to Hard Luck Forge and Supply and check them out. I'm going to put a link in the description to their website. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. There's no connection between me and the company, but they are just the best source of information for this kind of thing on the internet. So go check them out, give them your business. They are just a fantastic company. They're definitely worth your business. Okay, so I opened up the misu that I got from Hard Luck Forge, and it turns out they actually send the instructions with the packaging. Now, this does seem to have a little bit more information than this one does, so I'm going to use the ones I printed off, but you don't have to actually go find it. If you buy from the site, I guess they're going to send you instructions with it, which is fantastic. Okay, so the instructions call for, he says you should do 1 pound at a time, so for 1 pound of the misu, it's 1.45 ounces, so we're going to do that here. There's a pound. And for every pound, you need 1.45 ounces. That seems like not very much water, but I guess that's pretty good. And then we're supposed to mix this for 5 minutes now. Alright, so because this cable is so hazardous to your health, I decided just to use my old stuff. This all has holes in it and everything. I don't want to have to wash it, so I'm just going to throw it away. I would highly suggest if you're going to do any of this stuff, just get something that you can throw away. That way you don't have to try to worry about trying to throw this in your washing machine. I think that's a terrible idea. Now for the fun bit. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily the best way, but this is the way I ended up doing it. I have these 2 burners that I want to put into the forge, and so I found the cheapest way to set this up was just to get 2 hoses and then 2 regulators, since I'm going to be running 2 separate propane tanks anyway. Didn't want to end up with freezing on the nozzle, so I think that'll work. So my plan is just to kind of connect everything together, and then I'm going to start firing up the forge. You got to fire it up really slowly, so I'm going to go through that process here in just a second. So one of the things I noticed, I don't do a lot with propane, so I'm not really familiar with how these fittings work, but I found that there are a lot of different types of 3/8 inch fitting. These are all 3/8 inch, and I had to make sure I got the right ones for this. So there's a big difference between the 45-degree angle SAE, the 3/8 inch flare fitting, and then there's also a 3/8 NPT, which I think is pipe thread. I'm not sure, I didn't really look into that one too much. So I ended up with all of the flare fittings to fit this in. Now I know there are certain types of fittings that don't need tape, and honestly I don't know if these are them, so this may be unnecessary, I'm not really sure. Here we go. Alright, don't forget these are reverse thread on here. The first one took me longer than I'd like to admit. I told you I didn't work with propane very often. There it goes. Whoa! That's terrifying. Wow. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let me shut the door. Oh wait, no, I can't shut the door. It's a terrible idea. Oh, that's so cool. Oh man. Oh man, that's so cool.
Oh my god!
Isn't that cool? Yep. The forge is gonna be our fire-breathing dragon. Oh, that's so cool. We're gonna check and make sure there's no leaks though. Yeah, we gotta check, whenever we're working with propane, we wanna make sure that there's no bubbles. We don't want any propane leaking. There we go. Now you can kind of angle it the direction that you think it needs to be pushed. And these just screw in and bracket the whole thing in place. Okay, well, there goes nothing. That back burner I don't think went off. It's really hard to see in there, so I can't tell. Whoa, that kicks out some heat. Jeez. It's only on for a couple seconds. Okay, we're just gonna turn on the back one to see if it goes. And it goes out if I turn it off. Ah! Whoa! No burns. Wow, that was terrifying. Just burned all the arm hair off of my arm. That terrified me. Terrifying. Okay, so, like I said before, I'm not used to propane, so that was definitely a learning experience for me. What happened was I had a failure to light, and then apparently there was still a bunch of gas inside the chamber, and then when I tried to do it a second time, I ignited all of the gas that was in there. There's got to be an order of operations thing to go on here. I'm not sure if you're supposed to blow all the air out or wait for it to dissipate. I definitely have a whole area up here where I imagine, well, I don't know, does propane rise or fall? I guess I don't know. So that was terrifying. All right, let's never do that again. Okay, so you know how I was saying earlier that the guy who runs Hard Luck Forge is awesome and will answer all your questions? I sent him a message and he literally spent the last hour working with me trying to figure out how to get this thing to work, and there was two main issues. One, I didn't pull the nozzles all the way far enough back. You want to have the nozzle of your burner about an inch from the inside of your forge, so about an inch back, which it took me a little work, but I was able to pull them all the way back. It's a real tight fit in there for these burners. Also, my regulators are 40 psi, and he was telling me that you really never need more than 20. He said 12 is often forge welding temperature. I think for a smaller forge that's true. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I don't ever need to go above 20, and I was trying to burn these things at 40, and he said they probably just won't stay burning at that point. So, if I do this properly, like this, woohoo! Look at that. While I was working on it, I knocked a bunch of this stuff off. I gotta put that back on there. It wasn't on there very well, it just broke right off. So I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm also gonna put a floor into the forge, but I'm gonna do all that off camera. And the next shot you see should be me using the forge. That is one ugly leaf. My goodness. I haven't made one of those in like 2 years now. Oh my gosh. That was fun. So the forge, after turning it off, it's been on for a long time now. High. Yes, I agree, it is a high. I broke it. Wow, that was a lot of fun. I haven't forged anything in probably about 2 years now, so that was definitely exciting. You'll probably notice that this forge is a little bit bigger than what most forges are. One of the reasons for that is because this forge actually has 3 different purposes. One is obviously for the forge, because I've always enjoyed forging things. But I also want to start getting into glass blowing, and it turns out that the glass blowers furnaces they're basically made the same way, they're just bigger than forges. And the same thing goes for smelters. I want to start getting into smelting, you know, low temperature metals like aluminums and brass and coppers and just kind of whatever I have. I want to start melting those down. I don't have the crucibles right now. The crucibles for smelting are basically the same as the crucible bowls, as far as I understand it, that you get from for glass blowing. I'm going to try and do my own glass blowing, but that's going to be a project all in itself, learning how to do glass blowing. And smelting, as far as I understand it, isn't quite that complicated if you're talking about low temperature metals. But anyway, a couple of things that I've learned for this project. One, I love the idea of the tool cart. However, this one was not the best solution in the world. This is not good. This is not ideal. The forge is probably about 50 pounds, and the cart probably weighs about 5. It has a tendency to warp and twist, and it's just really thin sheet metal, not the most stable base in the world, and the wheels are set kind of far in. I don't like it, because if this ever falls over, especially if it falls over while it's burning, I'm going to end up landing on my burners, possibly creating a leak in the propane. That's not going to end well, so I'm going to have to change something about this base. I'm not quite sure what yet. I love the idea of the tool cart, but It just doesn't work the way it is. This was literally the cheapest tool cart I could find on Amazon. Turns out this is actually the same tool cart you would get at the Harbor Freight. I'll definitely put a link in the description to all of the things that I bought off of Amazon, and I'm also going to put a link in the description to Hard Luck Forge. Check out Hard Luck Forge before you check out any of the Amazon links. I will put this in the description. It would be great as a tool cart, but not as a forge stand. I do not recommend this for a forge stand. Please don't do that. This is not the safest system in the world, so I'm going to have to do something about this in the future. So the last thing I want to say is, any of you guys who actually know what you're doing with forges, especially the propane forge build, please let me know in the comments if there's anything that I did wrong in this. I'm not used to propane. I'm not a big blacksmith guy. I've only done limited blacksmithing. My last forge was charcoal. It was just a basic charcoal forge. This one is definitely terrifying. I did have one incident. Ah! That terrified me. There was no damage or anything, but I definitely singed some arm hair. It scared the crap out of me. So that was fun. But if any of you blacksmith guys out there know anything about this, if I've done anything wrong, please let me know in the comments. I will be reading the comments on this video, at least for a little while, to make sure that if there's any safety precautions that I missed, I want to know about them, because this is very far outside of my wheelhouse. It's not something I'm used to doing. So let me know if there's anything that I should do different next time, or if anyone else can learn from this video. I'd love for them to learn from any mistakes that I make. And if I have to make any changes, I'll make them as I go. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I enjoyed this project thoroughly. This is one of my favorite projects I've done in a long time. Oh my gosh, I haven't had a forge in years, and I'm so happy to finally have one back, even if it is terrifying. So if you guys like the video, please hit the thumbs up. It definitely helps out the channel a lot. Check out Hard Luck Forge. That is not an option. You have to go check him out, at least if you're interested in blacksmithing at all. Great source of information. Please go check him out. Well, anyway, thank you all for watching. Catch you all next time. Hey, Lucy.
What?
I made you something.
Oh.
Here.
It's a leaf.
It is a leaf. What do you think?
It looks perfect.
Is it cool?
I love it.
Oh, good.